All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. My name is Jeffrey Beckham. I'm the Vice President of AMAP, the Alliance of Monterey Area Preservationists. Our mission is to educate, to celebrate, and advocate for historic preservation throughout Monterey County. When people ask me what AMAP does, I often like to respond, well, we beat the U.S. Navy, the Catholic Church, and the National Trust for Historic Preservation when they each decided they would like to demolish historic properties in Monterey County. So we've had a good track record of success in dealing with huge imbalances in money and power. We do so only with your help. It is only through joint, determined effort that we can preserve our shared heritage. I hope many of you will sign up to renew your membership or join AMAP today. There's a table right over here that people will help you assist in that process. Many of the people here are members of AMAP, why don't you stand up so they know who to grab if they want to have a question. All the board members. Feel free to speak with any of us about questions you have as our afternoon progresses. Recently, we had another success. After over 15 years of watching the last Richard Neutra house, modernist house in Monterey County slowly deteriorate, the Monterey County Board of Supervisors just voted unanimously to deny the wealthy owner of the property the ability to tear down this National Register listed Connell House in Pebble Beach. This has really taken a village. It's recently the work of this has been headed by, on AMAP's behalf, has been headed by the architect's son and AMAP board member, Raymond Neutra, right over there. We thank very much. We've been working on this a long time, and Raymond's only recently joined us, but he's been a big help in really, really driving this home. So thank you. Next, because of the pandemic, our planned annual meeting in 2020, remember that, was canceled. Therefore, our award for the Preservationist of the Year was postponed, and postponed, and postponed for the last 3 years until now. Finally, we're able now to present the 2019 AMAP Preservationist of the Year Award to AHA, the Architectural Heritage Association of Monterey County. Yay. This award specifically acknowledges all of the work done by AHA to save the old jail in Salinas. This Herculean effort included getting the jail listed on the National Register of Historic Places because of its connection to Cesar Chavez. Chavez was held at the jail in 1970 for his refusal to call off the long-running California grape boycott.
Lettuce. And lettuce.
And lettuce, earlier. His incarceration and the extensive coverage that Chavez and his hunger strike received brought the plight of migrant farm workers and the United Farm Workers Union to national recognition. Recently, the Monterey County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously not to demolish the old jail, and instead looks for ways to restore and reuse this historic structure. This was a complete reversal of earlier Board of Supervisors decisions, as all of us know. The members of AHA who are to receive this award are Sal Munoz, Mark Norris is not here today, Joel Panzer not here, John Skorkus is here, Kelly Morgantini, and Patricia Coit. For the people who are here, we have awards certificates. That's coming.
Oh, come on. Okay.
In addition to our living members, we have 2 members that have passed away since much of the work to preserve the old jail was completed. These include Enid Sales, a true force of nature, and Juan Martinez, who was a great supporter of the old jail and its connection to his friend Cesar Chavez. It is hoped that Juan's collection of UFW memorabilia will one day be housed in a museum in part of the old restored jail.
I have deep in my memory initials for being what I call her, because she was so small and full of energy and knowledge. I told her she was an anatomic reactor because there was so much energy and passion for preservation. And originally I said I didn't want to have Cesar Chavez be the strong reason to make the old jail as being historical. Why don't we focus on the architectural part? Because it's so unique, Monterey County. And it looks more like a palace than a jail. So why don't we do that? And they says, no, Salvador, you should know that historical people like Cesar Chavez, who has been the beacon, the inspiration of the people who bend down to the ground and make the ranches, you know, the big power of agriculture, not only in our state, nation, and now all in the world because of that, because of the whatchamacallit, the world wars, and they were feeding the nation and the world at that time. That's why it should be that way. So because of that passion, we were able to save the jail.
And one other thing that, you know, came before the Historic Resources Review Board from Monterey County, and when it came before us, the executive director of the county came before our board and said if we proceeded to try and save the jail, that she would disband the HRB, which is kind of, we're volunteers anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's kind of an idle threat. But anyway, that kind of created this other board as well. So board members didn't have a conflict of interest when they would kind of work with the other board and not HRB. So that was kind of this whole other incentive on the side that kind of generated energy.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, you know, because I mean, the house be threatened. So anyway, that was part of the history of that. So yeah, just grateful that we got it saved, and now it's just trying to get it to the next step where we can get an adaptive reuse in there.
And we're going to help you. We're carrying on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's good.
Thank you, because you got us through the first 10 years. Thank you.
First, I want to thank James Perry and the Monterey County Historical Society for hosting our annual meeting this year. And thank Duran Sales for providing the portable toilets we have. Our first order of official business is to elect, or should I say re-elect, board members whose terms expire this year. They have each generously offered to continue working on our board for the next 3 years. Our slate of current candidates includes Nancy Runyon, Luana Conley, James Perry, and Raymond Neutra. Please give them a hand. And are there any other additional nominations from the floor? Anybody want to join our board? Please know that we are always looking for new board members who have a dedication to historic preservation. Please speak to any of the AMAP board members today if you think you might like to participate in our preservation activities. Now, all active board members, all active AMAP members, please signal that you approve of the election of each of these 4 candidates with an aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Guess we got through that one. The second small issue we have to deal with is a change to our bylaws. We intend to raise the cost of individual membership in AMAP from $15 to $20 per year. It's long past due. All active members of AMAP, please signal with an aye if you approve of this change.
Aye.
Any noes? We're done. The next step is that I want to introduce James Perry. James, come on, step up here. He's not only a member of the AMAP board, but also the executive director of the Monterey County Historical Society, where we are now sitting. James will now tell you about the Monterey County Historical Society, and I hope those of us who have the time this afternoon will be able to tour some of the facilities here. Thank you.
So, first off, welcome everybody. I know that some of you had to travel far and wide to come to the Salinas Valley, so please know how very grateful we are for your time coming here. And I just want to go through just a little bit of the history. I've been here, I've just celebrated my 33rd anniversary of serving the institution. And we, in December, just celebrated our 50th anniversary of being custodians of the oldest residence in the Salinas Valley, the Boronda Adobe, built in 1844, 1845. But 50 years of our being custodians of the house and 5 acres. And during that time, I've been responsible for building up various aspects of the property, various features of the property, which I'll speak briefly upon. Some of them you will tour, some of them you can just look at because they're under restoration. So one, of course, is the Lagunita Schoolhouse, which was very close to being demolished. And quite fortuitously, the Historical Society found out just before it was to be demolished. We stepped in and we saved it, and that was 1986. Brought it over here. Lopez House Movers, as a matter of fact, brought that over here in 86. And then so it underwent a full-scale restoration from 86 to 88. Brought here from 8 miles east as the crow flies, San Juan Grade Road. And again, 1897, became famous by being known as the Little Red Schoolhouse and John Steinbeck's The Red Pony. So we presently have it furnished, showing a typical one-room interior schoolhouse circa 1900, including many artifacts resident in display cases that were actually used in the schoolhouse through the decades. Another feature I'd like to direct your attention to is the William Weeks Victorian designed Queen Anne house from 1898. That was also fortuitous in how we were able to acquire that. It was going to be demolished again, So we received quite a bit of generous help and from the Lopez family, who were able to move it over here. Had it not been for their generosity and their donation of that, we wouldn't have this beautiful house. It would have been yet another casualty, a building casualty in the long and interesting history of Salinas, the remarkable destruction of both commercial and residential specimens. So we also have the Filipino labor bunkhouse from 1930 that was also saved from being demolished. It was brought over here and subsequently restored. I should just digress to just briefly to the 1898 Victorian home. As an institution who will be turning 90 years old this coming December, we have resident in our collections all of the silver, the crystal, the china, the art, and the furniture to deck it out in high Victorian style. So, we're very grateful. Even though we are known as the Monterey County Historical Society, we are not funded by any governmental entity whatsoever. So as we have for 90 years, we rely on talent and time and devotion and dedication to sustain and keep this great institution going. Most certainly we have quite a long road ahead of us, but the Historical Society continues to receive extraordinarily, historically significant collections, as evidenced by our becoming the beneficiaries of one in the long, not too distant past, Mr. Hathaway's collection, which was particularly gratifying for us, given the fact that the Historical Society were able to meet the criterion established by the probate judge, the heirs, and the administrator, our own beloved Kent Seavey. So we were able to acquire that collection, which was certainly at risk of leaving our region. So our other collections, as you'll see, as I'll take you through a tour of our vaults, our documents date all the way back to 1770. All of the governmental administrative documents, particularly created in Monterey by our various town councils or the ayuntamientos and the governors, which I might add was just recently, I had a 5-year project with the California State Library California Revealed program to digitize all 20,000 of those documents and put them online so everybody can access them. This was a dream that we've had for over 25 years, and due to that particular program, we were able to then finally make that available to the public. And of course, it's our mission as the grandparent historical institution of the region. Really, we enjoy looking for opportunities to be of service, to be the servant of all other cultural and historical institutions. So behind you is our feature museum that we built as we can afford it. I very clearly remember the 3rd week of June 1993, me and many other volunteers getting on our hands and knees with trowels to smooth out the concrete which had just been laid. We were able to do that. Again, it was a labor of love. And again, fast forward a couple of years, we put on a primitive roof, 3 walls. Fast forward another few years, we fortify the roof. And then finally, by 2005, we were able to completely enclose the building, which now we enjoy the Haversat, the Briskini Haversat Archaeological Collection, that repository, which is a collection assembled over 50 years by Gary Briskini and Trudy Haversat. So there's that collection, and then of course we have the two archival vaults, along with our beautiful Victorian library that's under construction. As I was explaining to some of you earlier who've actually seen the room, some of you shall see it shortly, but we're building a pure Victorian library in that room. And I think it'll be a wonderful inspiration for other museums and historical societies across America to take a look at their collections when it comes to rehabilitation projects or new construction. So with that, I think I'm finished doing all of that. And how about I can take 10 of you and we can split you into groups, because we can only allow so many in the archive at one time. And half of you can mill around with my dear friend Jim Riley, who's been involved with the institution, whose family has been involved with the institution since the 1940s. And so some of you can mill around with him and the Lagunitas School and the bunkhouse, and the others can mill around with me in the vaults and our new library. So with that, we'll just let it happen organically. And so thank you, everyone.
Thank you.